Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my new daily driver for the Nintendo Switch. Yes, it has replaced my 8BitDo Ultimate Bluetooth controller as my go-to controller for the Switch. Let's check it out.
Let's get it. Yeah.
Greetings, comrades. This is again Caleb, back with another controller review. And today I'm going to be reviewing a controller that I've been curious about for a while. Now that I have it, I'm so glad I got it because this is, without a doubt, one of the best controllers you can get for the Switch. This is the NexiGo NS32. And yeah, if you watched Rock Solid Productions on YouTube, I'll have a link to his channel below. You might be familiar with this controller and why he loves it so much, and now that I've used it, it's now become one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and talk about as we usually do, let's talk about the feel. And as far as controllers go, it feels good. You know, since I have fairly big hands, that's kind of why I like the 8BitDo Ultimate controller. It fits perfectly. Here it's not quite the same shape, but it still fits my hands pretty well. When it comes to reaching the buttons, yeah, pretty much like the basic Switch controller. I can reach the bumpers and triggers very well. And that's something to keep in mind. These are digital triggers, not analog. Nintendo Switch games don't support analog, so, you know, you press it either on or off. That's kind of Nintendo's MO for controllers, apparently. And that's what third-party vendors do as well. But, yeah, layout's pretty much the same as a standard Switch Pro controller. You know, buttons have a nice little click to them. They're not like mechanical switches or anything, but, you know, basic tap feels nice enough. And we'll get to the elephant in the room later, but first, D-pad feels pretty good. One of the things I love about the Ultimate controller here is the D-pad. Easily one of the best third-party ones out there. You have the official Switch Pro controller. The D-pad's okay. A lot of people don't like it, but, you know, it serves its purpose. But yeah, plus and minus buttons here, home and screenshot buttons here. Then we got the bumpers and triggers. There's a connect button and the Type-C. And the back here, we have a turbo button, which, yeah, can't imagine what that's going to be used for. You'll probably notice no rear buttons, which is, you know, it's fine by me. It might be a con for some, because some people like having rear buttons to bind and, you know, access on the fly. But you'll notice there's a textured back here. There's a nice grid to it. It's just solid plastic. There's no ABS or silicone or anything like that. It's just hard plastic. But it still feels nice enough, you know, because of the stippling. It fits firmly in the hand, so it's not going to slip off after intense gaming sessions. And one thing I noticed while I got this, they're Phillips head screws. So if you want to take this apart and tinker around with it, you can. I don't know why you want to, because it's pretty good the way it is. Which brings me to the star of the show, the joysticks. Hall effect joysticks, nonetheless. And I will tell you right now, these are among the most accurate Hall effect joysticks I've ever used. And I'll actually show a screenshot here through Gamepad Tester. These are the actual results I got from the NexiGo NS32. They're pretty much perfect, about what you expect from a Hall effect joystick. Perfect circularity, you know, very accurate, no stickler whatsoever. And compare that to the Ultimate Bluetooth controller here. As you can see here, it also uses Hall effect joysticks, but as you can see from these test results, not nearly as accurate. In fact, the action is actually worse than standard potentiometer joysticks on the regular D-pads. And funny thing, those tests, that was after recalibration. So yeah, I don't know where 8BitDo's getting their Hall effect joysticks, but they might want to, you know, ask them to provide some gully kit and, you know, NexiGo here for proper Hall effect joystick acquisition, because these pull the 8BitDo sticks out of the water. And yeah, really impressed by these joysticks. Now, let's talk about features. As far as features go, you know, again, just mentioned these Hall effect joysticks. That's pretty much the biggest feature here. They're the most accurate out there. But one thing keep in mind, this is prepared for a lot of third-party Switch controllers. This doesn't have NFC support, so that's something to keep in mind. If you're planning on getting this controller and you have some amiibos, yeah, you're not going to be able to use it on this controller, so that's why you should have at least one official Switch Pro controller in it, or at least the Joy-Cons, so you can use amiibos no problem. And one thing I noticed is that this has rumble, but it's not HD rumble. It does have rumble, but it's not HD rumble like, you know, the Switch Pro controller does. But those are the basic features that are, you know, out of the way. Now for the bigger things, first off, you'll notice this nice little nebula design. There are a few designs for this controller. I opted for the Cosmic Nebula one, and spoiler, I'm probably gonna buy another one of these, and I'm probably gonna go for one of those other ones. Lightstorm, I believe it is. It looks really sweet. I might get that just have a second controller. But yeah, as far as other features go, yeah, you have RGB lights, which I might as well turn on the controller. You probably can't see. Let me turn off the ring light real quick. You can see there's RGB LED rings around each of the joysticks, and you can adjust the lights by, I believe, holding the turbo button, and you press the thumbsticks, and it'll change the light way. So we got breathing, and this little rainbow ring. Don't think it's rotating, it's hard to tell. Then still your basic colors, got red, orange, yellow, green, teal, blue, purple. Then you got back to the rings. And press the right thumbstick. Yeah, you double tap it and it'll change to breathing. I think it's breathing. Yeah, it's breathing. And if you want to conserve value, you can turn it off. Which, yeah. Switch it back to blue. You know me, blue's my favorite color. Yeah, that's pretty much one of the features here. And yeah, the turbo button. It pretty much works like any other turbo button, basically. You hold the turbo button, you press the button you want to do turbo on, and then you pull that button down, it'll do the turbo, then you do it a second time, it'll do it automatically, and you do it a third time, it'll turn it off. So that's pretty much, turn it off. It's pretty much the big features for the NexiGo controller. Again, the biggest thing, these super accurate Hall Effect joysticks. I know I rag on these Hall Effect joysticks, you know, I mean, I hound on them because they're so, you know, some of them, you know, are less accurate than others, like the 8-bit though. But pretty much a big draw for them, they'll never develop stick drift because there are fewer physical components to wear out unless you go through excessive use for them. So it's going to be a while till they develop stick drift, probably years for that. But they're very accurate. No, less likely to get stick drift, and you know, they're much more reliable than standard potentiometer joysticks. So that's pretty much the biggest feature, these joysticks. And again, you got the typical features, the turbo functionality, and the additional RGB lighting is a nice plus. And for ease of use, you know, it's a Switch controller. You connect it normally to it. Though actually, the instructions say you have to plug this in wired first. And then once the Switch recognizes the controller, you can unplug it, and then you can use it wirelessly. That's kind of weird, but it works. And then after that, you just turn it on normally and use it like a regular Switch Pro controller, though there are a few things we need to talk about shortly. Now for PC, pretty much the same deal. Just, you know, when it comes to these controllers, just stick to using them wired. Like, one, you're going to be in front of your PC anyway. If your PC's like 3 feet away from you, you just plug in a regular USB-C cable and then just use it that way and you're good to go. And that being said, connecting it wirelessly, typical affair. Just go to your Bluetooth settings and make sure the controller is discoverable and you can connect it and you're good to go. Though honestly, I stick to using these wired. Though frankly, when it comes to this, I stick to using this on my Switch. I already got a decent amount of controllers for the PC side of things. But yeah, And while playing with it, it's like a standard Switch Pro controller. It feels nice. The D-pad's responsive. The buttons are responsive. You know, again, digital triggers, but they work. And oh boy, of course, these Hall effect joysticks, like I said, most accurate I've ever used, and wherever you point them, they're gonna go. Yeah, you pretty much use one Pro controller, you use them all, so it's pretty straightforward. But that being said, there are a few minor cons for this controller. The first one, as I mentioned, there's no amiibo support, so no NFC. So if you're going to use amiibos, you'll want to use a different gamepad. And the second one, you can't wake the Switch with this controller, which is a, you know, kind of a lot of third-party controllers don't wake the Switch. Though, because one thing I will give the 8-bit Ultimate controller, love this thing, because, you know, does a lot of things right. But it does a few things wrong. Again, these Hall effect joysticks aren't the most accurate. But you can wake the Switch with this controller, whereas you can't wake it with this. Just a small thing to keep in mind when getting these. But other than that, I don't have much bad to say about this controller. It's very reliable. It feels surprisingly solid. And one thing I gotta mention, it's just $50. Which, yeah, that's one thing I need to get out of the way right now. For the NexiGo NS32, there are two versions of this controller. One with regular potentiometer joystick, which is like $39.99. And then there's a Hall effect joystick one, which is $49.99. So either way, it's still cheaper than the Switch Pro controller. But if you really want to get one of these, please, please, please make sure you get the right one, the Hall effect joystick one, because I'm pretty sure their regular thumbsticks are okay. But let's be real, the big draw for the NS32 is those Hall effect joysticks. That's what you get it for. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind if you do plan on getting this controller, which I highly recommend you do. Make sure you get the Hall effect joystick one. Yeah, the RGB lighting, you know, it's nice to have, but let's be real. The accuracy of this is what really gonna draw people to this. But that is the NexiGo NS32. And for the pros, as I mentioned, most accurate Hall effect joysticks out there. Pretty comfortable feel despite hard plastic for the back. Turbo functionality, RGB lighting, and it's just very responsive. What it is. And pretty much only two cons I can think of. Well, actually, there's one more con I forgot to mention, so scratch that bit real quick. One thing I forgot to mention, the battery life. A lot of people say it's good. I'm not too sure about that because I see some people say it's around 6 hours of battery life. Some people say 10 hours. So it's a lot less than the Switch Pro controller. Heck, it's even less than this. This is only 20 hours battery life, and this has a benefit of coming with a charging dock. So yeah, a lot of people say the battery life's good. Me is 6 hours, kind of yeah. I know a lot of people say the battery life's good. For me, it could be just a little bit better, but in a way, I can understand why the battery life's kind of low, because these Hall effect joysticks, they use more power compared to regular potentiometer joysticks. So I can see the shorter battery life, but I guess the RGB lighting also is a factor for that, so yeah. So anyway, let's redo the cons. Okay, so cons, no amiibo support, can't wait to switch with it, and battery life, which I feel could be better, but I can understand why it's the way it is. But at the end of the day, do I recommend the NexiGo NS32 controller? Yes, absolutely. You know, if you're looking for a great third-party Switch Pro controller, this is probably the one to get. You know, sorry 8-bit though, you know, I still love this controller, still one of my go-tos, but in the short time I've used the NexiGo controller, it is quickly dethroned as my daily driver for the Switch. Yes, it doesn't have amiibo support, don't really care about that. Can't really wait to switch of it, don't care too much about that. And yeah, the battery life could be better, but everything else about this controller is awesome. You know, the RGB lighting is just a nice little plus, but again, the accuracy of the joysticks, the feel of the controller, and yeah, honestly, if you blindfolded someone, you gave this to them, they would think this was a legitimate Switch Pro controller. And they find out, oh, it's a third-party controller. Not just any third-party controller. One with some of the most accurate Hall effect joysticks you can get on the market. So yes, I highly recommend this controller. You know, if you want a second controller on the Switch, or just, you know, just a main controller in general, the NexiGo NS32 is the one to get. And yeah, the 8-bit controller now a close second. But the NS32, this is my new #1 controller for Switch. And PC, you know, you can use it, but just use it wired. You know, setting wirelessly is kind of weird for a lot of these controllers, so just stick to using it wired on PC. But you know, we're talking about Switch here, and when it comes to Switch controllers, I don't think it could get much better than this. So anyway, this is Caleb signing out. Have a good day.
Suck it up, life's tough, we know that. Someone's got better stuff and can throw cash. Tell them I don't give a fuck, make my own path. I don't need no handouts, I'm my own man. Gotta get it, I'll get it in fast, yeah. Got a girl and she'll get it, she bad, yeah. Man, I only get down with the best, I'ma leave the complaints with the rest,